Okay, so this week I'm going to do something a bit different. We're going to talk about the grip, all right? And I did a video for the Leadbetter guys, which was about the grip and the neutral grip. And I'm fully aware that there's other grips available and there's other ways to hold it. But you really want to, if you're starting out or if you're a beginner, you really want to try and learn the basic neutral grip. And this is what this videos are based around. But I think it helps most golfers, okay? And grip is really, really important. And if you can get the grip right, then you're going to have more consistency in the golf game. Okay, so come on, let's go do this. Okay, the golf grip. What is the purpose of the golf grip? Okay, they once said that a good golf swing can't happen without a good grip. Okay, Ben Hogan was once one of those, you know. And the whole purpose of the golf grip is to act passively during the stroke because of an athletic movement, so that the body can work and the hands and arms work passively towards that. But the purpose of the grip is it's got four functions. Okay, the first function is that it creates leverage. Okay, so I can create a hinging and unhinging of the wrists to create speed and control. Okay, so you've got to have that movement, and that comes from holding it through into the fingers more or less. Number two, it gives you face control. Okay, so how I hold the club will influence the club face during the swing, and that's what we really ideally want, is good control of that club face, and that comes from how we position the hands on the club. It gives you power, again from the leverage. It creates speed and power, and also pressure on the ball. It's how we, by holding it too tight or too loose, stops me from having that power. And also it can influence the plane of the swing as well. So if I have my hands too far round to the right, this influences my forearm position, which then can actually influence my golf swing position by swinging me too flat. Or if I go to weaker position, I can then swing too steep because it upsets my forearm position as well, okay, or my arm position. So it's very, very important we have a good grip. Ideally though, if you're a beginner or a novice player, we would always suggest that you go for more neutral grip. It's easier to start from there and then blend everything in. And generally when you change somebody's grip, they generally start to straighten out a lot more because it takes away a lot of compensations. If you have a more neutral grip, you're not having to compensate things in the swing to try and hit the ball towards the target. So it's very, very important. I would always suggest though that you apply the hands in a step-by-step process. And if you're a right-handed golfer, always apply the left first and then apply the right. It's also very important in my experience that you do what we call a grip routine, and do that away from the ball as well. So sort of go through your routine prior to hitting a shot away from the ball, and then once you've got your hands on, then apply the club head behind the ball. It just means that you're going to focus more on having the right grip because it is such an important part of the swing. Okay. When I mentioned about being passive before though, it doesn't mean we don't want to use the wrists. Okay, the wrists are very functional because we need leverage. Okay, so how do we apply the grip? How do we do that? And I'll come closer to the camera. So applying the left hand first, okay, we want to try and run it diagonally through. We want a bit of a blend really for a passive grip. We want to blend the left hand through from the forefinger here of the left hand and diagonally through into the base of the little finger here. All right, so it's just under the fleshy pad, so the grip will actually sit diagonally through, okay, the hand, as opposed to being all the way across the fingers. I'd like to see it more diagonally through, so that it sits under this little crook here that I create, and it also sits under this fleshy pad of my left hand as well. You probably could sit there and hold the club like so with no hands. All right, that's always a good sign. Once I've got that in the correct position there, I can then close the fingers round, making sure that I'm not too far off the end of the handle. So I've got about an inch from the top of my little finger to the top of the grip. Closing my fingers round, so I'm in that position like so. I create a bit of a shorter thumb as well, which helps with leverage. But also I create a bit of a trigger finger here with my forefinger. Okay, because that's going to come into effect later on. Just from down the, so when I'm looking at this from this position here, I see my thumb is sitting ever so slightly to the right hand side of the handle. I've got a V here that I create with my thumb and forefinger, and that's pointing off towards my right ear. And I can see 1, 2 knuckles at the max on my back of my left hand. Also, I have a slight dish or cupping effect of my left hand as well. That's a natural position. You want to see that because that's how my hands and arms would sit if they were hanging by the side of me. Okay, I don't want to see it flat. Okay, that's a great way to view it, is from at a 45-degree angle away from you, up in the air. Pressure in my left hand, I'm feeling these last 3 fingers here, and that's where I want to feel it the most. They're the key ones here, because otherwise I'm going to lose grip pressure at the top of the swing. The right hand comes in. The first thing to establish with the right hand, once you've got the left hand on, is how I'm going to connect the two together. And there's 3 ways in which you can do that. You can have what we call the overlapping grip, where my little finger sits behind the knuckle of the left finger here, left forefinger, and sits in that little valley of the creases here, sits in that area there. That's called the overlap, or the Varden grip, one of the most common ones. The second one would be the interlocking, where I can lift that little forefinger out, separate it, and try to intertwine those fingers together. Okay, and they sort of press together. What you don't want to do is ram that finger in. You just let them gently lock together. That's a very common one between Jack Nicklaus has done that one, Tiger Woods, some great golfers have done that one. Or the final one is what we call the 10-fingered grip, or baseball grip, where all fingers are attached on and there's no linkage together, but they're close together. That's key. I've always done the overlap, the Varden grip. Okay, so establish that first. Then you're going to run it diagonally. This is where it is. This is definitely going to go into the fingers here. They're going to hook round underneath at the bottom. You can see I've got a lot of palm here now. I'm going to then push the fleshy pad down. I'm going to push my thumb downwards, and it's going to put pressure. And that fleshy pad, which is almost like it's made for, is going to sit on top of my left thumb. Okay. Pressure, again, what I'm going to feel is in these 2 fingers here, and also slightly on this pad as well, pressing down on my left thumb. I also create what we call a trigger finger here with my forefinger. There's a slight gap. You can see in the finger, it's not bunched right up, there's a slight gap. This gives a pinching effect of the thumb and the forefinger. Looking down the camera, from here, you can see the V that I create here with my thumb and my forefinger. It's probably pointing up towards my chin more than anything else. You can't see my left thumb at all from this angle. And my thumb sits slightly to the left edge of the grip this time. Okay, and that's a very natural, neutral, that's a very neutral grip. Applying that is very, very important. So I would suggest you apply that first of all when you're away from the ball, and then I'd then address the ball, putting the club head behind it, and then taking your stance, a couple of waggles just to release and get the pressure nice and relaxed, and then from there you should be able to swing it comfortably, given all those 4 functions, which is grip, which is leverage, leverage, face control, pressure and power, along with plane. Okay, if you have a more neutral grip, you've got a better chance of making a better swing. Some of the common faults we'll probably see would be, let's say we'll do for both hands too far around to the left on the handle, what we call a weak grip. This produces potentially a opening of the club face through impact or in the backswing, or too strong a grip where the hands are too far around to the right hand side, and this can cause a closing of the club face through impact or during the swing. They're the 2 most common ones we see, or just generally holding it too much into the palm. So it's very important to get a nice neutral passive grip to start with. You can build on it from there. Good players have had stronger grips, as I said earlier, but ideally you want to start from a neutral grip. Neutral grip means passive hands, which means the athletic swing can work and you can create more control and more power through the natural grip. Right, so there you go. That is the neutral golf grip, okay? And this is the one that you see in all the textbooks and so forth, all right? The 2 knuckles and so on. I know I teach sometimes differently because I have different ideas, but sometimes you need to go back to the neutral grip, especially if your hands are so far out of position, and especially if the club isn't really behaving itself, or the player is swinging so off plane or offline. Generally it's down to the grip. Remember, the hands turn in this way, this turns the forearms. It doesn't just turn the hands and affect the club, it can affect swing plane as well. So holding the golf club correctly is really vital. Ben Hogan once said, you can't play good golf without a good grip. And that's a real good lesson to learn. And most golfers could learn this if they took the time and the effort. The most thing that holds them back is, oh, it feels awkward, it doesn't feel natural. Well, what you've been doing isn't right either, all right? It's not working for you. That's why you've come for lessons, all right? So try it, work on it, do it systematically, do it step by step, okay? Also learn to do the pre-shot routine away from the ball and get your grip correct. It would take a few goes to get comfortable with it, I promise you that, but it would also, you'll hit a few errant shots because you sometimes have manufactured your whole golf swing around a poor grip, okay, to try and make it work. So it's a great leveler. So hopefully that will help you, and my videos will, moving forward, will be grip, will be postures and so on, and it will be just a bit of a basic guide really, getting you going forward, almost a step-by-step guide each week. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video. Please like, subscribe, and also share with people that you feel that could really do with this. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.